Am I audible to everybody? I hope I'm audible. If I am, please type in yes. Right. So uh, while I wait for responses from everybody, I'm going to go straight into this presentation, and I'm going to share the link. All right. I hope my presentation is visible to everybody. Let me wait for some responses. I'm guessing the presentation is visible. So I'm going to start right away. This session is called Navigating Design School Admissions, Understanding NID, IIT, NIFT, CEPT, and Private Institutions. Now, the reason we've done this is because we've been getting requests from various parents and students saying, what is the difference between these institutions? And how do I know which institution I should choose and what is an institution that's good for me? So the link to this particular presentation deck is in this QR code. It's in the first QR code. Please scan that. The link to the recommended design school applications. Okay. So if you want to apply to the design schools for 2025, that's the second QR code that you need to look at. And if you want to find the schools on DQ Edge, you're going to click on the scan the third QR code. This particular deck, the link to this is going to be in the description of this webinar. Before we start, just to cover a little bit of who I am and how I got interested in design. So I look at a very interesting area. How I looked at design was, or how I got hooked onto design was when I was working with Mahindra and Mahindra. This is about 10 years ago. And this project to rebrand Mahindra from this old logo to this new logo, that came to me. And it was a very complicated project, a very significant project, right? And I was fortunate to be part of that project, and I had to implement that for the automotive sector across, right? So my interest lies in combining design, business, and strategy, right? Because when you have all these put together, then there is a lot of value created. And how do we know there's value created? We look at companies that exist today. If you see the brand value of these particular companies is tremendous, right? So Apple, the brand value is $1 billion. And these are all design-driven companies. Remember, design is at the forefront of what they do, right? So this is the value of these companies, right? Now, going into the details of this. So over the last few years, we've gone to over 80 design and architecture schools across India. We have gone, met with the students, interacted with them, got the formal feedback and informal feedback as well. And that's how we're coming and doing this session for you. And the objective of the session is to help you make more informed choices, right? Now, while that is the intention, a lot of these are reflections of our own views, right? So our request is that you represent this understanding as your own understanding, right? It's to help you. The idea is to help you understand this better and make a decision for you to make a decision. So please do your own research, make your own decisions. All right. Another important aspect I need to talk about is the term design schools. Now, while we refer to the term design schools, it's interchangeable and includes fashion schools, because most design school schools also have fashion programs and vice versa. There are very few specific schools that don't. All right. Now, let me just pause for a bit and go back into this. All right. I can see some interactions there. So I know everything is going fine. I'm going to resume my slide share. So before we start, I just want to get an idea or rather have a discussion on what kind of jobs do designers do. All right. And before I get into that, I would like to ask y'all a question, right? Now, what is the common skill that is taught across every design school, whether you're studying in India, whether you're studying abroad, um, in a school in a urban area, rural area, metro, non-metro, doesn't matter, right? What is that one common skill that is taught across all design schools? I'm waiting for your answers. All right. It's very important that I get your answers and feedback. All right, art. I'm starting to get some responses. Art, stitching, sketching, design thinking. Yes. Suja Saraswati, Netra Madhu, Jia Gandhi, Netra Madhu. You all are right. Design thinking is the right answer I was looking for. All right. Yes, problem solving, out of the box thinking, ideas, all of these are, really part of it. All right. And and really, they all fall in some aspect or the other of the design thinking process. But fundamentally, the Stanford D School had defined the design thinking process, right? And this is the process that you will learn at design school. It doesn't matter which design school, every design school will teach you this. It is, in fact, what we are teaching you at DQ Labs. All right. And interestingly, if you look at the questions that come in the NID exam, right? So here there's a sample question, or there's a previous question. Draw an instruction manual with pictures and words for the process of cutting your nails with a nail cutter, right? So that is instructional design. Give 3 solutions on people not giving heed to signboards. Example, there is a signboard that says do not throw garbage and it's littered with garbage, right? What is that? That is communication design. So what they effectively want you to do is have some understanding of the design process. And if you are able to apply this well in various situations that they give, you've done half the job, right? So that's what design schools are looking for, and that's what design thinkers do. And that's where they work as well, right? Now, if we look at what designers do, we can't look at them as silos as, okay, designers make products and services and UI, UX and XYZ, right? In fact, we look at it as a spectrum. And on one end of the spectrum, it is creating impact, making billions of people, improving the quality of lives of billions of people versus achieving corporate objectives. All right. I didn't realize that I'd paused my screen. All right. Okay. I hope my screen is visible. So we're looking at the jobs that designers do as a very, as a spectrum and not as silos. All right. So let's understand this better. Now, one of our previous students, Madhu Priyanka, she is a furniture designer who's graduated from NID, Ahmedabad, right? And what she's done, you see these kind of seating systems that she's done. It's very different, right? Very different, very interesting seating systems. But really, do you think this is something that you and I would buy? Or can it improve the quality of lives of somebody else that we don't think of, right? Um, and actually, if you think of it, these people, the artisans, they would tremendously benefit from this. Of course, we would benefit from that as well, but I think it would create a great impact and improve the quality of lives of hundreds of thousands of artisans across India if they had access to better seating systems, right? On the other hand, we have UI UX designers who who probably design experiences where you go from one flowchart to the next and come up with a solution, right? Now, the quality of the solution depends on how hooked on we are to those apps, right? Are we spending more time on social media? The more time we spend on social media, the more successful those apps are, right? And those are are achieving corporate objectives. So there, so we've given two examples of actually one person creating a huge impact and the other person purely focusing on corporate objectives, right? So this is the description of what of the range of careers that are available in design. Now, at this point, I would like to pause and check if there are any questions. Please give me a thumbs up if you all are following me. Give me a thumbs up, give me a reaction. That would help a lot. All right. So I'm seeing some level of activity. Yep. I'm getting reactions from Nandana, and thank you, Nandana. All right. Let me get back to this. Now, the next part of the session is how do you identify an ideal design school for you? That is the fundamental objective of this webinar. And this is the question that's very, very complex to understand. And it's tough. It's not, it's so complex that it needs a team to be part of this, right? So if you think that, oh, let me just apply to certain colleges, no, it's not that simple. So now, who is this team comprised of? All right. So let's understand this better. If we have to find an ideal school, we have to understand that every student is unique. Every student has their own interests, and this is not like a probably like an engineering school where one size fits all. No, here every student has a different aspiration and different skill and a different interest and can solve different problems, right? There's as very human centric. So that's where we need to understand the personality of the student very well. And then when we match that personality, right, now we need to send them to school. Now, when you have options of 10, 15, 20, 50, 100 schools, you really need to understand that every school has a certain character. And the personality of a student going through one school would be very different from the same student going through another school, right? And that is the difference in character of the school. The third aspect is the parental dilemma, right? So parents have their own wishes and hopes and dreams for their kids, right? So some of them say, I want to have a hostel on campus. Some of them are not too worried about that. Some parents say, I need, maybe if I put in a little more money, I can send my child abroad. Let me give my child that better experience, right? Some say, no, I want my child to be inside my city, in the same city as me. I want them to stay at home. Some parents say, no, I want my child to leave home and experience life on their own, right? So every parent has a different hope and dream for their child. And it's only when you match these three that you get the ideal school for you, right? Now, remember, What I can talk about is the character of a school. If you do interact with schools, what the schools will talk about is their own character, right? This is something you'll have to introspect about, right? This is something that the parents would have to think about. So literally, A and C would be a family discussion, while B is something that we can cover. All right. So with that, let's get into identifying the character of a school. And at this point, let me stop and see if you're following me. All right. I see people following me, so that's good. Right. So what are we going to cover in this session? We're going to cover a few things. Number one, the academic experience that you'll get at different schools, the campus experience, or the impact of a campus on your personality, right? The impact of the academic philosophy on your personality, the impact of age on your personality, right? Or maybe placements and fee structure and the opportunities you get, all of that is covered. Just 1 second. Right. So the next aspect is you're going to design school to become a designer, right? So what exactly is taught at all design schools? So you're going to find various all schools talking about one thing or the other, and they're going to be talking about, we have so and so faculty, we teach these tools, we have international placements, live projects, and competition. Every school is going to talk to you about all of this. Everybody, there's no exceptions, right? And they're not, and that's all true. That's all true. The tough part is for you to understand the nuances of one school from the other, right? And that's really the challenge that you'd be talking about. What I'd like, but the next question is, what makes you a successful designer, right? Is it about really creating all that, um, all great designs? Or is it something that goes beyond that? So if we look at what makes you a successful designer, you need to have an element of business skills, right? Because you need to make things, products and services that are viable. You need to have a bit of marketing skills, some leadership skills, some networking skills, right? You need to work across teams. You need to work with people. So it's all these elements put together that make you a successful designer. And this is actually something which many, many, many schools don't cover. All right. But while they don't cover this, they offer this in their experiences. And this is what you need to keep an eye out. So when you listen to schools, you listen to their academic experiences as well, but you also listen to the other aspects that add to your success as a designer, right? So there are two things that you need to focus on. Now, some of these things you may not have immediately, but you need to acquire this over time. All right. Now, getting into the philosophies of the various schools. Now, from our experience of meeting all of these, 80, 90 schools, we've realized that they come under four broad categories, right? And while they come under these categories, we found that depending on the philosophy or the category of their philosophy, they hire different types of faculty. You get different types of opportunities as a student, and every student, their personality fits into one of these, maybe one or two of these, but not all of them, right? And that's the idea of this webinar. We're trying to match your persona with the philosophy. All right. So I know it's going to be a little confusing. So let's get into this. The first philosophy, before I get into that, if y'all are following, type in following, right? Because I need to know that y'all are listening to me and y'all are following, because that feedback loop is very important to me. All right. And guessing, waiting for your responses. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm getting the reactions there. Okay. So the first ideology is the multidisciplinary ideology. So what does this mean? This means the school of design, it could be an independent school just offering design, or it could be part of a university, right? Irrespectively, their school is called a center of excellence. All right. Now, this is a very key term that I want you to latch onto: center of excellence. And what I mean by that, I mean that the school prioritizes the design. So the university may have multiple schools, but the school of design has its own priority, right? It has its own independence and it has its own autonomy. And the design, the director or the dean, they have the absolute liberty to run the school the way it's meant to be run, to be like a number one school in India, right? So that is their aspiration. They want their students to have the best experience and the best exposure, right? So effectively, what they'll have different departments within the design center of excellence, and you can specialize in any one of these departments, or maybe you can pick and choose multiple. You can have a major and a minor, and that should help you out, right? Now, the philosophy of this multidisciplinary angle is that there is a shortage of jobs in industry, and for those jobs there is a skill gap. So we need to teach these skills to the students so that once the students graduate, they fill those skill gaps, right? That is the concept of the multidisciplinary ideology. Now, accordingly, you will find that their faculty will be industry practitioners, they'll be qualified, they would teach you a lot of skills. All right, they would teach you a lot of skills, and you primarily fill industry gaps, right? Those are the kind of opportunities that you get. Now, what happens to the persona? What kind of a person would fit into this ideology, right? If you are a student who likes the structure, who likes the end goal, likes knowing what you need to do to achieve that end goal, then this kind of a philosophy is good for you, right? You'll do very well in this kind of thought process, right? So if you like, there is, I've shared this presentation, so you can probably have a look at this. But effectively, a NIFT would fall under this, an FDDI. These are pure play design schools, and they have only design, maybe a little, maybe architecture as well, design and fashion and architecture, but they are pure play in the creative space, right? And they are all centers of excellence. Now, if you see here, there is a range of schools. Some of them are, priced higher. Some of them are priced lower. We'll come to the pricing issues later. But these are the schools that you can think about. So FDDI, NIFT, of course, FDDI, CEPT, UID Ahmedabad, Pearl has multiple campuses, Strat School of Design, Bangalore, MIT ID Pune, MIT ID Indore, UPS Dehradun, DJ Academy of Design Coimbatore, Nitesh School of Architecture Planning and Design Bangalore, LISA, and JD Institute Bangalore, right? So these are the schools that you can consider if multidisciplinary is your is something that suits you. I would like to check on you right now. Does that sound interesting? If you think it's interesting, say interesting, or just type in multi. Okay, if it's interesting to you. If you think you want to explore more, you can say explore more. All right. So I'm waiting for you to type that out. And the idea of that is that I want to see if you guys are catching this, because this is a complicated part of it, right? This is the heaviest part of the session. I need to make sure that all of you have understood this clearly. Um, my recommendation is that you keep watching this. Maybe you watch this a second time or a third time, all right? And then it gets easier on you. So now I've got answers, people are following. Now we'll go to the next one. Some of y'all had said you'll want to explore further, right? So let's go to the interdisciplinary model. Now, in the interdisciplinary model, now this generally happens at universities, because a university has a school of design, a school of law, a school of computers, a school of finance and liberal arts, and various schools, right? Now here, while the design school is a center of excellence, no doubt about it, it is a priority school. It needs to be number one in India, and that's why they have it. All right. You can do a major in design and you can do a minor in law, computer application, the finance, right? So that's the idea of this kind of thought process. Now, is there anyone in this audience, and you can type this out, all right, who would want to do, let's say, who say, I like design, but I also like law. I like design, but I also like computers. Maybe if you can type in that, right? Or if you say, no, I want only design, just type in only design, right? So that's important, because, so you can start typing that out, because if you have multiple interests, then this particular option is great for you. All right. So Shanti can say multi. So maybe you can, yeah. So, okay. So I'm getting a few responses. Some people want only design. Hemant is saying it's interesting. All right. So I'm trying to see. Okay. So I'm getting, I like design, and I also like science and music. So this is a very interesting combination, Suja Saraswati. So very interesting. So Rekha Philip is saying design first, but also paleontology. Fantastic, right? Because Shivnadar University gives you this option, design and paleontology. By the way, paleontology is a very one of is one of my favorite topics to talk about. I in fact collect a lot of fossils. I've got $450 million old fossils. So we must connect on that. But yeah, but that is for, so this is exactly good for people who have multiple interests, right? So we have so here you will have faculty from industry. They will be absolutely qualified. They will teach you skills, right? There's no difference from there. The skills you will learn are varied, because you have the option of learning paleontology and science and music and liberal arts and psychology and sociology and various aspects, right? So that's the flexibility that comes with the interdisciplinary model. And ideally, people have multiple interests. They would fit very well in this system, right? So that's something you need to talk about. Now, what are the schools that you can consider? Oh, by the way, the opportunities that you get when you are in these schools is very niche, right? So, excuse me. So we've seen students who work in wildlife conservation, right? Design students who work in wildlife conservation, design students who work in consulting, right? Very unique. Or say UI UX designers who also understand programming, right? So very unique opportunities. So that's the kind of opportunities you get here. And the schools you can consider are the IITs, Jindal School of Art and Architecture, Shiv Nadar, ISDI, RV University, and BITS, right? I'm still a little unsure of where Mahindra University is concerned. I haven't had the opportunity to interact with them, but I would guess that they are here, right? In terms of interdisciplinarity. Now let's go to the next one, which is transdisciplinarity, transdisciplinary. And I'm going to pause and say, oh, there's some design and law, design and marketing and advertising, design and photography. Very interesting. Uh, very interesting, right? Okay, so now I'm going to the next ideology, which is the transdisciplinary ideology, right? Now, in the first two ideologies, what they are saying is that design is a fundamental skill, and it's a fundamental skill that you need to use to solve problems, right? That's the multidisciplinary or the interdisciplinary option. However, when it comes to the transdisciplinary process, what they say is that design is a part of solving a problem, right? It's one of the parts of solving a problem. You need to also incorporate artistic. We as humans like art and we appreciate art, and naturally or unnaturally, we like artistic things, right? But also to make things sustainable, to make processes sustainable, we still need to factor in practice as well. So design is one part of the puzzle, but you need the other aspects to solve problems. For example, let's say if you want to reduce road accidents, let's say if you want to stop people from cutting signals, let's say you want to stop people from littering. Do you think that that's possible using design? All right. If so, how? And let me give you an interesting example. And if you like this example, just give me a heart. Okay. You can react with the heart. You can react um, with whatever with the various emoticons that YouTube gives. But I think it's an interesting example. So have you noticed that when you walk through a metro station, there's hardly any litter there, right? But the same people coming out of the metro station and they would litter. Now, what is the impact of design of a metro station that makes people change their behavior without even thinking about it, right? Without thinking about it. That's an interesting thought to consider. You really need to think about this deeply, right? Is that product design? Maybe. Is it communication design? Maybe. Is it UI UX design? Maybe. Is it interior design? For sure. Right? Is it a combination of all this? For sure. Is it art? For sure. Certainly there's art in a metro station, right? And if you've noticed, the metro station has sustained this change in behavior over long periods, right? It's a sustained behavior. So that's where it transcends art, design, and practice. And that's where the transdisciplinary ideology comes into place. Please give me that heart and that reactions so that I know that you all are following. But that's the idea. So now, what kind of faculty would you get here? Now, these would be faculty that are possibly definitely designers, but they could also be from non-design backgrounds, right? They could be filmmakers, they could be spiritualists, they could be from various backgrounds, photographers, right? And are they really there to teach you skills, right? Is skill teaching a priority, or do they do other things, right? So in general, you'll find these faculty teaching less of skills and more of provoking your thoughts. Their ideology is simple. You want to learn skill, go on YouTube, right? You probably have better options on YouTube. but learn the skills, explore. But you're more looking at human-centric problems and human-centric solutions, right? So those are the opportunities that you're going to get when it comes to transdisciplinary programs. And the kind of person who would fit into this would be a very exploratory person, experimental. And you'd say, you know what, let me figure out. I don't know whether I want to do uh, product design or communication design, or maybe I know, but I still want to explore further. Maybe I'm not satisfied with doing only product design. Maybe I want to do more options, right? Maybe I want to transcend that. Maybe I want to do some subjects on film and philosophy and spirituality, right? So that's the kind of opportunities you'd get. That's the kind of persona that would fit into this. And from my experience, the NID is a beautiful, beautiful example of this ideology. Shrishti, absolutely beautiful example of this ideology. Jindal, if you see, has been repeated in the multidisciplinary approach as well as here, right? Because while they do have the options, over here, they also have the ideology. They're looking at problems from a very human-centric point of view, right? So for those of you who are looking at uh, these options, these are good options for you if you like the transdisciplinary ideology. All right. And at this stage, I'm going to pause my screen and see if there are anything that we do. Okay. Right. So everyone's following. You can give me a thumbs up. All right. If you're following, please give me a thumbs up so I know that you're following and if you're finding this interesting, right? Okay, now the fourth discipline we're going through is the global leadership. This is very straightforward. Uh, in the global leadership thought process, they're saying if you want to be a designer, you have to be the top-notch designer working for the top companies. You have to be working for Louis Vuitton and Dolce Gabbana, and you have to be making the top products, and you have to manage teams under you. You need to manage the marketing team, the design team, the PR team, and you need to be at the helm of the brand, right? So that's the kind of experience that these schools deliver. Their faculty are absolute industry leaders. They have a very intensive curriculum. And very interestingly, they give you these creative breaks because they want your mind to unwind and they want you to use your creative break for, productively doing your own thing at that time, right? So the kind of opportunities you get is to work in the top global design houses and be at entrepreneurship at global levels, right? So the kind of person who would fit into this would definitely be someone who is financially comfortable, who would want a high level of global exposure, and who would want to be a leader, right? That's the kind of person who would fit into this kind of a thought process. And from my experience, the only school that I have come across with this ideology is Istituto Marangoni. They have a campus in Mumbai, and where you study the first year in Mumbai, and second and third year you go to Milan or UK, right? So it is a premium program. It is a little more on the expensive side, but it is for those who want that kind of experience. I'll give you an example. One of my students, um, who went to Marangoni, she actually got featured in Vogue, right? And getting featured in the Vogue magazine is an outstanding, outstanding achievement, right? And when I asked her, um, how did you do it? She did it. She said, I did it all by myself. I did it in the break time that I had. All right. I did in the break time that I had, and I did it all by myself. I applied, I worked towards it, and I got it. I achieved it. Right. So I thought that was fantastic. And I would attribute her achievement to the creative break that she got. right? Whether she understands it or not, that's a secondary thing, but it's that break time that she got that actually helped her. So we've covered this list. Now, what I want you to do is kind of maybe pick here which one of these you would, or maybe note it down. You may want only the multidisciplinary or the transdisciplinary, or maybe both of them, right? But the idea is that you eliminate at least one or two of these, right? So that's the idea. Now, while we talk about these disciplines as unique or silos, the reality is they don't work that way. Every school has elements of all these, right? So it's just that one part of it would be skewed towards one of these, but it would have all these aspects, and you need to choose schools which work for you, right? So I hope this is understood, and that's the heaviest part. So here I'm going to pause on this particular screen, and I'm going to give you the time um, to absorb that, right? So um, so this hopefully would help you understand not only the different ideologies, but the schools within the ideologies that you can consider. I would also kind of think that it helps you narrow it down your schools or eliminate schools which may not be of your choice. All right. So did you like this? If you liked it, please hit on the like button, because that gives me an idea if you're enjoying this, if I'm on the ball with this, or if I'm going off track. All right. You could also give me a heart or any reaction that would help. Yeah. The next thing, so that's the heaviest part of the session. I'm going to check how I'm doing on time. Okay, 9:45 minutes, right? Okay. So the next thing would be the influence of campus age and placements, right? So when it comes to the campus experience, um, there's something interesting about this we've noticed, right? There are some schools which are very boutique schools and some schools which are part of larger universities, right? So, for example, Pearl Academy Bangalore, Strat School of Design, or these are absolutely standalone design schools. This is nothing else other than design, right? Whereas there are other schools like UID and ISDI, you know, those are schools which are parts of larger universities, right? So the NIDs, NIFTs would come here under boutique schools. IITs would come under the university experience, right? Now, CEPT, while it has architecture and design and urban design, I would still put that as a boutique school because it has only that, right? It doesn't have engineering, it doesn't have other aspects. So that would be a boutique school. So I hope you got uh, the difference between the boutique schools and the university schools, right? Now, within the university schools, there's a bifurcation there. And that bifurcation is that they want their design school to be a center of excellence. That means they want it to be the number one school in India, right? Or they want it to be one of the programs, that they offer, and not really a priority program. Maybe their priority program is engineering or law or maybe liberal arts, something else, right? But not design. That's their priority. That's where all the funds are coming in, and these are just add-on programs just to cover up a range, right? So that's the idea of these schools. So we are looking. So what we are doing is we are eliminating the non-core design programs, right? And we are only considering it if it's a boutique school or if it's a center of excellence. Otherwise, we are not too keen on the schools, right? So that's what we do. Now, how does a boutique school impact you as a learner? Your faculty will be industry practitioners. They are very good. You'll have a very close academic experience with your mentors. All right. Generally, all the students from that school or in that environment would all be from design background. And so it's a very creative environment created, right? So what happens here, in general, let's say these schools work on ways where there are much fewer students to be placed, and it's much more easier to be noticed by a faculty and reach out to the guest faculty and create your own experiences there, right? Very personalized mentoring. And that's really the kind of person who would fit into a boutique school, right? The person who would fit in here would want a high quality academic experience, absolutely high quality, very personalized, very personal academic experience. That's the kind of person who would who would be here, who would enjoy this environment, right? So some of the schools that we would put here are listed here: NIDs, NIFTs, of course, FTDI, Strat, Pearl, Marangoni, Lisa, JD, right? So very boutique experiences at all these schools, right? Maybe, yeah. So now let's go into the next aspect, which is the university schools, right? So the university schools, what happens here? Here you will notice that because it's part of a larger university, there's always, firstly, there'll be a large space, right? 30 acres, 50 acres, 100 acres, 200 acres, that much space. And with that much space, they'll have multiple schools, right? And with that many schools, they have that many students. And with that many students, they need to keep playgrounds, they need to have events, they need to call celebrities, they need to have a lot of those experiences as well. Now, that is the typical university experience which a lot of people love, right? And if that's what you like, then you choose that. If the boutique school is what you like, you choose that. A lot of people are into sports. Is there anyone here who is into sports or music and wants to develop that talent along with their education, right? Titibala is saying, can you please again say the Mumbai University name? That's ISDI Mumbai or Institute of Marangoni. I don't know which one you're speaking with. Uh, Arun Kotagiri is asking, won't Srishti be considered boutique? I will come down to Srishti, all right, because that's a very important thing. But let's move on, right? So so if there's someone who's into sport, like for example, last year we had a student who was into rifle shooting, 10-meter rifle shooting, right? So she needs an environment which encourages sports and allows her to also pursue her interest in sport. All right. So what kind of faculty would they get? They would have a very structured curriculum, experienced academicians. They would tend to have a larger number of students, and they tend to have this a lot of extracurricular activities, right? So students who like that extracurricular activities would feature well here. However, very, very important point, right, is that if you are in an environment like this, you need to focus on the extracurricular activities. You need to be part of organizing committees. You need to be part of clubs, and because these would give you skill sets, or rather these university kind of schools environments give you skill sets of leadership, of marketing, of business, right? And those are aspects that tend to make you a very successful designer, right? So that's the opportunity these kind of schools provide you, and you should focus on these schools if that's what you like. So IIT, CEPT, MIT, Srishti. Now, Srishti also I've put here because it is part of a larger university, right? It has all the events, it has the playground and the campus and all of that. However, right, Shrishti and DJ Academy, they come as very unique schools. While they're in a larger campus, they're actually function as boutique schools. All right. They actually function that way. So very interesting. So this would be kind of, I'm not putting this on the left hand side. I'm not putting the right hand side. I'm putting somewhere in the middle, more tending towards the university experience because that's where they belong. I hope I've answered your question. Okay, so I'm going to go further. Right. I don't have much time left, so we have time for Q&A and okay. So age of the school, the impact of the age of the school. Remember, the first 3-4 years, the school goes through huge periods of uncertainty. Uncertainty meaning it's not the question of certainty or uncertainty that there's going to shut down. No, it's going to be that faculty are going to come. There's going to be, they're going to leave, and there's going to be churn. A faculty leaving in the first year of the school is very different from a faculty leaving at the 8th year of the school, right? So that's the uncertainty we're talking about. Maybe the hostels are not ready. Maybe the campus is not finished. Maybe the infrastructure is not ready. Maybe the equipment is not all there, right? So that's the uncertainty you'll have to deal with in the initial years of any school. As you progress, there is an element of stability that fits in, right? And this stability comes in because you have systems in place, you have processes in place, and things are a lot more smoother. And as you progress to year 7, 8, or beyond, that's when you have these elevated experiences. All the systems are well in place, and now they're trying to say, okay, how can we give international collaborations for our students? How can we have more international collaborations? How can we give better experiences to students, right? So all that happens at a much later stage. Now, it's not like I'm saying don't consider school, which is in the first few years of its inception. Consider only the schools at a later stage. No, that's not what I'm saying, right? All I'm saying is that if you do consider a younger school, you need to go in with the right expectation. Yeah, younger schools will have problems, but that's fine. I'll deal with it as and when it happens, right? So that's the mindset you need to go with. It's not about the school, it's about your mindset. And I hope this helps you tune to that. All right. Now, this is the suggestions of schools that are there. So BITS is rather new. This is their first year. Mahindra is the first year. NIT SAPD, it's the first year. The other schools have been there for a little longer. So the idea is that you kind of introspect. There are, of course, some schools that have reached year 4, 5, 6, and then gone back to uncertainty, right? Because they've had significant teams leaving, and they go back in time till again they reach that point of stability. So even though they're in year 7 or 8, they're not stable. So those are the schools I've kept off this list. All right, I've kept off this list because till I have confidence of their stability, I'm not going to put them back here. All right. So uh, I hope you've been able to do this small little exercise. Oh, hold on. Yeah. So this is the suggestions for the schools that are there, right? And I'm going to pause on this for a minute. And I'm going to see if you have any questions. No. All right. So I hope this is good. So put down your preferred list, right? So would you prefer schools in year 7 and 8 that are only giving elevated experience, or are you okay? Are you agnostic, right? You'd rather be in your city and you'd rather be fine with other schools as well, right? So you decide what kind of experience you want. Try that as an exercise. Now, the next thing is placements, right? Now, a question I would like to ask you is, why would you want placements? Can you type in, why do you need placements, right? Why is it so important that you have placements? I want to see what you'll type. I'm looking for suggestions. I'm just curious. Okay. Which other schools you mentioned a boutique along with Srishti? Let me go back. DJ Academy, Coimbatore. DJ Academy, Coimbatore. Right? So that's the thing. Okay. Arun is asking, can you give your opinion about Flame, Atlas, Anand, Vidyashil? So, Arun, I'm not giving opinions about schools here right now. I'm just covering these. The schools I've covered are the schools that give my opinion about. Um, so, this particular, um, yeah. So, placements give you the initial impetus in your career. Absolutely, right? It's a good start to your career. Be financially independent, work experience, so that life is a little easy. um, Initial start, initial opportunity to prove yourself, making money. Good. Some uh, very interesting thoughts coming along. All right. Um, it's more about, yeah. So some things is like, okay, ROI. A lot of people say, no, I'm putting in this much money. Um, I need to make sure I make that money back, right? But is it really about money, or is there an element of anxiety? Is there an element of comfort? I don't know. I'm not familiar with design. I'm not familiar with this career. I know about engineering. I know about law. I know about medicine. But when it comes to design, my child doesn't even know what they want to do, what design they want to do. So how can I let them, right? So there is these elements are confusing, or like, what kind of jobs would they get? Will they get a job that will sustain them, right? So that's the if they do this work, that work experience, is it going to be valuable, right? So these are the kind of questions that people ask me. So at this stage, just a second, I'm just seeing. So Hiya Patel is saying, Hiya Patel is saying, why isn't Symbiosis listed in any of the categories? So uh, I'll only be commenting on the schools that are there in my list. So that's why. Um, Archit Murlidhar is saying industry exposures and employee work experience, survivability in the field. Absolutely, because uh, the field is very fluid, right? Even if you think about engineering, a lot of the engineering skills that you need that were very hot maybe 5 years ago, now right now doesn't even exist, right? And life is changing, AI is changing a lot of these things, and it's all very confusing and and unnerving, right? So what we should understand is the concept of placements, right? So this is a critical thing. Now in engineering and MBA, what happens is, when they come for placements, they come to the college, they hire 10, 20 people or 100 people or 200 people, and they say, we will put you in this department, you make your career from here, right? That's the kind of of mindset that happens when the engineers and the MBAs graduate. But when it comes to design, when it comes to architecture, when it comes to medicine and law, it's not that way, right? They're really looking for people who have passion in certain areas, right? Law. Am I interested in criminal law, corporate law, um, you know, intellectual property law? What am I interested in? Civil law, right? So that's the kind of mindset. People are looking for specialists. Now, let's say there's a software company that's coming in for placements. They have, um, let's say, specific requirements. I want a UI UX designer, right? They just don't just say, I just want a designer. In fact, one of the larger companies, I'm not mentioning the names here, but one of the larger companies came to Strat School of Design, And they met with Thomas Dahl and they asked him, they just said, see, we need 10 designers. So he said, for what? And and they say, no, we just need the designers. We'll decide where they go. So Thomas Dahl says, no, I don't want them. I don't want that for them. What I want is for them to be able to choose. So you come back to me, you tell me what roles you have open, and I will let my students choose whether they want to apply for that or not. That is the essence of design jobs, right? So it's really the student that chooses the kind of jobs that they get, right? And that's the beautiful part about design, right? Now, at this stage, I would also like to ask a question. What do you think? Which mindsets of schools would you think would talk about placements, right? Would the multidisciplinary schools talk about placements or transdisciplinary? I want to know your thoughts on that. Who would talk about placements? I'm giving you a little bit of time to think about it. You can type your suggestions out. So, all right. So definitely the multidisciplinary schools would talk about it because remember, they're filling industry gaps. So they need to say, so many of our students have been placed and they've reached out. They're in this industries, right? And this is their salary and this is the kind of earning they have. Definitely the global leaders would do that, right? The global leaders, for them, they need to talk that their students got placed in Louis Vuitton and Dolce Gabbana and all these companies, right? So the two extreme ones, multidisciplinary and global leaders, they would talk about placements, right? On the other hand, the interdisciplinary and the transdisciplinary, they have just they give niche opportunities. So their students will be very specific. No, I want to work in wildlife conservation. I want to work in this. I want to work in that, right? And really, it's difficult for them to talk. And their students can do anything and work in law firms, right? So that becomes a challenge for them to talk. So those are schools that will not talk about. Uh, these are schools that will definitely not talk about placements, right? Or their focus on placement will be rather lower. They would be talking about the quality of education, whereas the multidisciplinary and the global leaders would talk about placements a lot. All right. So let me give you a case study. There was a parent who reached out to me about a month ago who said, my child is in the second year and she wants to do design and business. What do we do? Right? How should she go about placements? So what I suggested to her is this. For design and business, you need to look at consulting companies. And one of the good consulting companies that's there for design consulting companies is called Accenture Song, right? Now, if you go to Accenture Song and you go to the careers page, you'll find various career opportunities there. So what I suggested to them is look for a career opportunity that is interesting to them, that combines design and business. And they have a lot of those, right? Take that description and run a Google search. You will find other companies, other consulting companies that do the same thing. Create a list of 10, 15, 20 different companies and then reach out. Reach out to your parents, right? Your parents may be able to build a connect. If they don't have one already, they will find someone on LinkedIn. And that's what all of you should do. You should not worry about if a college gives you the placement that you want, if they bring an opportunity to you, that opportunity is interesting to you, that would be great. But if it's not interesting to you, don't worry. Don't depend on the college. You have to work on it yourself. And how you do that is in the first year and second year, you need to identify your area of interest. In the third year and fourth year, you need to build your portfolio showcasing that interest, and you need to apply to companies, right, that are working in that field. And if you do that, certainly by year 5, you will get a good job in the field that you want, right? Now, how can parents participate in this? What parents need to do is parents need to have these discussions with their children once in a way, not every day, not every week, maybe once in a few months, maybe once in 4 or 5 months, 6 months. Have a conversation, figure out where they're going, right? And that'll help you. Now, let me give you an example of some of our students who've been with us before. They have graduated from IITs in design. And in the first, when they graduate, they got like 16 lakhs per annum, right? And I'm not saying this as, and this is at the IITs. And there are people who've got more, there are people who've got less, but in general, it's like 15 to 16 lakhs per annum, right? When they jump jobs, that 16 lakhs jump to 32 lakhs, right? And that's the thing. Now, a lot of companies are grappling with the shortage of UI UX designers. They can't get that. And if you talk to your friends who are in IT, they will tell you that IT companies are not getting UI UX designers. So what they're doing is they're taking the engineers, putting them on UI UX projects and calling them UI UX designers. But they are not, right? But that's what companies need to do to get their business, right? Now, what it means is that if you graduate from an IIT or NID, you can get a job in the range of 12 to 16 lakhs. All right. Could be more, could be less, but on average, this is what our students have, got in the past. And we are probably saying it averages around this much. Let's say you don't get into the IITs. Let's say you get in the NIDs, right? Or sorry, not IITs or NITs. Let's say you get into a private school, but a center of excellence. We've had students from MIT Indore who got 36 lakhs, 30 lakhs, 25 lakhs, all those large numbers. But let's be a little more on the safer side and say the average is about 8 to 12 lakhs per annum, right? If you go to a non-core school, all right, so some of the schools I've left out because I found them to be non-core, right? And when you graduate from there, it would be you'll probably get 4 to 6 lakhs doing the same quality of job, but in the 4 to 6 lakh range. So that's the difference of getting into these schools versus the centers of excellence. So we recommend that you stick to the list that we've suggested, all right, and hope that helps you. Now, let's go to the next part, which is the rationalizing of the fee structure. Let me see how I'm doing on time, 15 minutes. Okay, so I'm going to just stop the screen share and let me look at the options. I'm going to change my network just a second. All right. Give me a second. I'm having some network issues. Just give me a moment. In the meantime, you can maybe type in some questions. I can address some questions for you. All right. Okay, so I had some network issues. Okay, do fields like animation design have freelancing kind of job opportunities? Yeah, Kiara, there are opportunities at various levels. um, Freelancing opportunities you do get. There are opportunities for entrepreneurship. So very tough to say what it's going to be maybe 4 5 years down the line, but I'm sure you'll figure that out as you go along. So let's rationalize the fee structure. Anyone? Okay. Does anyone here know the fee structure of an NID or IIT per year? Let's say annual fee structure: NID, NIFT, IIT, right? What would your guess be? What would your guess be? What is the fee structure? So just saying, which NIDs or IITs have BDES in animation, game, and character design? So all have communication design, Suja, and animation and game design and character design is all covered under that. All right. Mohit Kapoor is asking any feedback on DJ Academy faculty. Um, I think it's, I think the faculty is good. I think their philosophy is good. I think the design school is driven by the management who's very focused on design. So I think that's great, right? I think they have good faculty there. Yes. So Rekha Philip, Kiara Soni, um, Sucheta Sinha, all of y'all are correct in terms of your thoughts for the NIDs and NIFTs. But when it comes to the private schools, the questions I've got is the fee structure is ridiculous. Is it reasonable? Is it value for money? And if you see these questions, right, or these statements, these are very frivolous statements, right? Because what is value for money for somebody would be absolutely ridiculous for somebody else, right? So we need to rationalize this. And how we rationalize it is we look at the NIDs and the IITs and NIFTs and the fee structures. About this is the tuition fee. Yeah. The tuition fee is about 3.5 lakhs per annum. Now, what do they spend this 3.5 lakhs on? Right? Their land is free, their building is free, their equipment is free, everything is free. So what do they spend the money on? So y'all could possibly put in your thoughts, right? So the answer to that is they spend money on admin cost and faculty cost, right? So let's say for private schools, they also charge you 3.5 lakhs, and you want them to have faculty from IITs and NIDs and NIFTs because that's what the bar is, right? So if the faculty works in industry, you saw how much he earns. So let's say if they're not going to come to academics if they're not going to get a similar salary, right? So let's assume that the same 3.5 lakhs is spent on the salary. But design schools also need to have invested in land, building, and equipment, and they need to recover that cost. So 3.5 lakhs becomes, let's say, 4.5 lakhs. And they also need to spend on marketing and future growth. Let me give you an example. UID, Ahmedabad, as of now, is spending 4.5 crores this year only on their AI infrastructure. AI labs, AI equipment, AI, everything to do with AI. 4.5 crores, right? So while now they need to recover that money, right? Why are they spending that money? Because they want to be the number one school, right? It's part of a larger university, but they want to be the number one school. So that's why they're doing. So that's why the fee structure, the tuition fee goes up from 3.5 lakhs, it goes to 6.5 lakhs, right? But there are some schools that say, you know what, let me let me try and give you the same experience for a similar experience, but at a lower cost. We understand that, you know, the fee structure may not work for you. Let's try and achieve that at a low cost, right? So they may not go for the same investment in labs and infrastructure. They may go for a lower investment. The fee structure may not get you all the faculty from NIDs and IITs, but there will be some key faculty who are from NIDs and IITs, right? You may not get the best of infrastructure, you may not get the best of equipment, but you'll get some good stuff, right? We would still say, whatever you choose, go with the right expectations. So this is a exercise for those of you who'd like. If you all are considering the schools below 4.5 lakhs, you have the, of course, the NIDs, the FTDI, CEPT, IITs, Jindal. And if you see, Jindal is in both interdisciplinary as well as transdisciplinary, you can consider that. But having said that, the Jindal fee is low, the tuition fee is low, but the hostel fee is on the higher side, right? So you have to remember that while we are talking about the tuition fee, you also need to spend on hostel fee. You also need to spend on food and accommodation and entertainment, and you know, you'll have some purchases here there. So factor all of that in when you plan your schools, right? And I hope now, hopefully, we've covered the different types of disciplines. We've covered these aspects as well. And hopefully, this has helped you make a decision. We hope you found this useful. And if you, okay, so Suja has said, can you also cover NRI quota fees? So not all schools have NRI quotas, all right? Definitely the NIFTs have. There's a supernumerary quota for NIDs, but each of these, the private schools generally don't have NRI fees. It's the same fee structure. But again, Suja, you'll have to check. It depends from school to school, and you'll have to check that. All right. Kunal Gandhi, NIFT Mumbai 7 lakhs per year. I don't think it's 7 lakhs per year for NIFT Mumbai, not for the regular program. Maybe the NRI seats fees is that much, maybe a little higher than that. I'm not very sure. All right. So we just summarize what we've done, what we've discussed all along. So the key takeaways are summarized here. Number one, the core skills you need to learn are the design thinking process skills. Okay. It doesn't matter which school you go to, this is what you learn. So start inculcating this thought process right now. It'll help you crack the NID exam, NIFT exam, IIT exam. It'll help you do that, but it'll also help you prepare for your private design schools, and it'll help you personally as well. Now, manage your anxiety. This is a very critical suggestion. All right. The NID exam is in early January, UCED is in mid-January, and NIFT is usually in February. If those are the first schools you are trying for, it's dangerous, right? Because you don't want to go to that school, those exams, and get anxious because you've not filled up the form, you're not familiar with what you have to do inside the exam, and you get a question thrown at you, you're not sure how to handle it, you get stressed. So to manage that stress, we suggest that you attend at least 5 private design school entrance exams before you answer the main exams of your choice. All right. Now, the flip side is that when you answer these exams, the probability that you will get through is very high. And for that, they will start calling you and asking you to pay the fee structure, to pay the fees, the seat booking fees, and that could be stressful for the parents, right? So we suggest that you don't make payments to multiple schools, select one school that you'd get, that you take. Worst case scenario, go for two if you want a backup plan, but don't do more than that, right? That's something we would suggest. Um, to find the ideal school, you need to match the personality of the student, the character of the school, and the parental dilemma. We spoke about four academic experiences that would vary from school to school. Now, to understand the experiences at each school, we have multiple events that are being planned. All right, multiple events. So the first event is something called an e-meet, right? Or rather, the first event is going to be the DQ Design Conclave. This is going to be on 1st September in Bangalore at Indiranagar, all right? Where we've invited about 15 design schools, 10 to 15 design and architecture schools to be there. We're going to be talking. There's going to be a panel discussion. There's going to be talks on portfolio, right? What kind of a portfolio you have? How do you work on your portfolio, and bring your work along so that you can show it to the schools and get feedback on your portfolio, right? So all these aspects are very important. Please attend this particular webinar, this particular thing. It's a physical event happening in Bangalore on the 1st of September. If you're based out of Bangalore, we recommend that you come and attend this during the day, right? It's from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. or 5 p.m. Of course, this is a slightly older poster. We're yet to make the new poster. Um, Followed this, we have something called e-meets. All right. E-meets is when we call the heads of the institution, and they will talk to you about their philosophy for the school, what they are expecting in the school, and what kind of students they are looking for. So these e-meets are very important. Please attend this. When you attend this e-meet, your focus is on what kind of ideology is the school focusing on, right? And is that something that you like? The third event is called DNES, which is Design Nuances Edu Series. Um, that's a series where the faculty of the school would come in and talk to you about an aspect of design, and they break up a complex topic of design. They simplify it for you. Please attend this. This happens on Sundays. All right. Uh, I want you to do a short-term project and a long-term project. The short-term project, I hope you've already participated in the design hackathon that is held on 3rd and 4th of August. In fact, the prize is going to be announced. Here was an opportunity for you to learn design thinking and apply design thinking to a short-term project. And then we have the long-term project where we want you to use a case where if you could change the world one step at a time in your own little way, using design thinking, develop a product, develop a service, right? So this is very helpful to you. If you can achieve this, it's extremely helpful. Work at this, right? And finally, there's a tour to Japan that we're organizing in the first week of October. It's specially designed for aspirants of architecture, fashion, and design. So those of you who can make it, ideally those who are in class 11, this would be great for you. The idea is to go to a completely new environment, observe, experience, learn, and document, right? And I hope this session was useful to you with making more informed choices. That was the core of the session. I'm going to stop sharing now, and I'm going to go into Q&A, right? Archit. Archit is saying, isn't the fee for Jindal University at 6.3 lakhs per annum? Yes, Archit, it's probably 6.3 lakhs, but the tuition fee is about 4 lakhs, 3.5 lakhs, 4 lakhs. And the remaining 3 lakhs is the hostel fee, right? So Mohit, if you, just a second, if you So, I hope you'll enjoy the session. So please give me a like or a reaction if you like this session. Now, yeah, so Archit's question I addressed. Please share the last slide. Mohit, which last slide you want? The summary slide, is it? For those of you who want access to the slides, it's shared in this communication. It is this communication. So if you see this webinar, click on the description of this webinar and the links are there. If you don't see it, refresh the page and then check the links, you will see it there. All right. So that's where you can get all the slides, Mohit. Arun is saying, talking about Japan, any insights on foreign schools? Yeah. Arun, in terms of foreign schools, we'll probably be doing a session on foreign schools a little later. It's going to be a separate session. In fact, if you go back on our YouTube channel, we've already done these sessions with some consultants. So how to go about, I'll just give you a brief thing in a nutshell on how to go about foreign schools, right? When it comes to Indian schools, you have the entrance test, which is an elimination process. And then the, let's say, the round two or the studio test, portfolio, all that is the selection part of it, right? So in India, it's a two-stage process. First an elimination, and then from the remaining who are there, you come for the selection process. Whereas schools abroad, they primarily go for a selection process. Every applicant is reviewed primarily through their portfolio, and then they are selected or rejected, right? So that's the way it goes. Now, when it comes to foreign schools, your portfolio is the most critical aspect, and your portfolio is critical to a point where your scholarship is decided based on the quality of a portfolio. We're not worried about admissions you'll probably get, but it's the scholarship that is a challenge to get. And your scholarship of 30, 40, 50 lakhs depends on the quality of your portfolio, right? Hence, I was suggesting, work on a short-term project, work on a long-term project, add that to your portfolio. Number one. Number two, attend the session at the Design Conclave on 1st September, physical session at Indiranagar. And that's where we'll cover a little more on the portfolio, so you can look at that. So Singapore, so that doesn't matter whether you're going to Singapore, Australia, Japan, doesn't matter at all. In fact, LaSalle School of Design is coming to Bangalore. They're coming to Indiranagar on the 23rd for a session from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. We're going to make that announcement shortly. Shritika, does Shrishti have... Okay. Okay, Kavya, can you refresh this and go into the description? You'll get the links. I'm not sure why the QR code isn't working. I'll test that out and maybe update it in this thing, but the link is available at the bottom. Yeah. Now, next, Kritika is asking, does Srishti have product design and UX, UFX and VFX? Yes. So Srishti, remember, Srishti has transdisciplinary programs, right? So you will not find the terminology that you're looking for if you're looking for a straightforward program, right? So if you're looking at product design or visual, if VFX or UI UX, you're not going to find that terminology. So Srishti wants you to actually go through the program details and see if that program is something that you like, right? However, the closest program to product design is called industrial arts and design practices, right? So arts, design, and practice, all that is combined. So that's the product design program. If you want UI UX design, they have human-centered design, creative coding. So there are various programs. The terminologies vary, but In fact, because of the transdisciplinarity in their structure, you can take any program and take any of the electives that you want. They have, a lot of labs, lot of options for you to choose from. So you can really design your own course at Shrishti. Mohit Kapoor wants the one with the part of the presentation with all the slides. Let me pull that up. Just give me a second. I think Mohit is looking at this. Mohit, tell me if this is what you're looking for. I hope that's what you're looking for. Okay. Sujas Saraswati is saying, can NRIs apply for general quota at NIDs or IITs? No. No, NRIs cannot. So if you all fall under the NRI quota, you need to be very careful. There's a separate application process, separate fees, separate. So you need to be very careful if you're NRIs or OCIs. So very important. Like if it's NIFT, you need to answer SATs, right? If you're an NRI and you want to apply to NIFTs, then you need to answer your SAT, right? So the process very please reach out to our team and inform us that you're an NRI so that we can work towards it. We have a group, a WhatsApp group for NRIs, right? So please join that WhatsApp group as well. Would there be another session for suggestions of design colleges abroad? Yes, Kiara, we'll have a session for design schools abroad. We'll talk about that. Yeah. Okay. Right. So Mohit got the link. Fee structure for foreign colleges. So Kiara, the fee structures keeps changing. I mean, so you get for foreign schools, there are specialists who will talk to you about the various options depending on your budgets, right? Because it ranges, the range is too broad. See, when it comes to foreign schools, people are particular about which country they want to go to, and within that country, they are okay with Singapore, not okay with other countries, right? So there are various parameters, and there are experts that help you on that. We'll come to, so that's why we'll organize a separate session for foreign schools. Yeah. Suja is asking, how many NRI seats are available at communication at NIDs or IITs? So Suja, this information will be released in the brochure, right? You will find it in the brochure. When are the NID UC results announced? When do they start classes? So NID UC results are UC is generally announced in March, towards the end of March, beginning of April. NID, by the time the second round results are announced, it's towards the end of May, so it's much later. Yeah, classes start in July, August, towards the end of July, beginning of August. And Thomas is asking, how good are the foreign universities when compared to the Indian universities for design, right? So good question. The foreign universities and the Indian universities are pretty much, very, very good in terms of the curriculum. Like not all Indian universities, the Indian universities that we are specifying, right? Some of them are definitely good. See, I've kept a range of schools there. Some at a higher budget, which are absolutely premium. Some at a lower budget, which are a little more affordable. Of course, you want even the premium ones um, are setting global standards, right? Whereas the low budget ones may not be setting global standards, but are good nevertheless, right? So you can consider whichever one suits your budget, and accordingly you'll get the experience there. Having said that, the exposure at different schools changes, right? They're all teaching you design thinking, but the exposure changes. So the foreign schools will be talking, your environment in a foreign school, you'll have students from maybe 50 countries, 60 countries. You'll have faculty from different countries and faculty that have achieved different levels of experiences, and that's going to be shared with you. So your exposure is going to be different. In an Indian context, you'll find a lot of diversity in India. So your classmates will be from all across India, right? So the exposure changes, but the kind of projects they do is very good, irrespective, right? Um, is NID or UC marks considered for private colleges, or do we have to write the entrance exam for each private college? You'll have to apply separately for each private college. All right. UCED exams, UCED marks, UCED has a tie-up with private schools. So the moment you answer the UCED exams, the moment the results are out, you will get called by all those private schools, right? And say, oh, you've qualified UCED, so come in and join us. But so UCED has a result sharing partnership with a lot of those schools, but you still need to apply separately. You still don't need to go through their round two process, which is their portfolio, the interview process. So that's what happens there. Okay. Can you please share the summary slide with all the parameters? Tina, if you refresh the screen, you'll see the summary slide there. Having said that, I want to bring you to share another slide deck. Now, people have asked me, can you give suggestions of schools based on the specialization, right? So I created a secondary deck. Again, this link is also in the description of this particular YouTube channel. So so you can click on this deck at any point of time. The application link is there. The application deadline will keep updating this as and when we get updates, right? Now, if it's the government schools, um, these are the government schools, right? Whether it's NIDs, IITs, or FTDI, or NIFTs, it's all there. If it's the private schools, you have so we have this. So for communication design, visual communication, brand identity, you have these schools. Um, just a second. Yeah, so these are the schools you have. This page 1, page 2. Shrishti is here, right? So what we have here is the application link, the deadline, the date of the exam, and your contact person. Who is the contact person you can be in touch with, right? And if you click on these links, you will reach the right application page. Having said that, I don't think the applications are open yet, but we recommend that you click on these links only. See, you have a choice of clicking on these links or going to the website and clicking. So we prefer it if you use this, because then there's a track of the people who have applied from DQ Labs, and these people are assigned to DQ Lab. So if you have any issue, there's the right channel that we can talk to and get things sorted out. But otherwise, they have various teams calling you up and giving you different information. So we want a good experience for you in your application. And if this one person leaves, there's another person who takes over from there. So very important to click on these links and go through the teams, right? So you have the links, you have the people there assigned. Okay. So this is the list for communication design, visual communication, or brand identity. These are the schools you can think of. Animation and VFX. Some of you all have asked about animation and VFX. These are the schools. For game design, these are the schools you can think of, you can consider. UI UX design. Again, here, Jindal has a wonderful program as well in immersive media, UID, ISD. All these have wonderful programs, right? All these are good options. Fashion design, fashion communication, textile design, apparel design. These are the schools. I think Pearl Academy has an outstanding program. All these are excellent programs. So you can consider any of these schools. Um, and we'll keep updating this list. So you may have to check this a little later as well. So product transportation design, um, interior space, built environment, space design, community design. Again, very good programs at all these schools. Jindal has a good program, right? And transdisciplinary programs. So, um, so I'm going to just a second. I'm going to stop this, make some changes. So, for transdisciplinary programs, there is, not all of them are good. Let me just delete row. Right. So for transdisciplinary, of course, there is UID, there's Srishti, and there's probably Jindal as well. I need to add Jindal here. Um, I'll add it soon after this, but these are good programs to do. UID also has a something called a global design program where you get you get global understanding as well as a transdisciplinary understanding, right? So these are the programs you can consider, and and just a second. Yeah. So I came to this. Yeah. So these are the programs that you consider, and so this link is also in the description of this link. Okay. I'm going to stop. Okay. Okay, Kiara is saying, would also request for a session to give insight on how to become an entrepreneur in specialized design field and the scope. Kiara, we can have a discussion on that. I'm not sure if that would suit everyone, but let's do that. UPS Dehradun is a government school. No, Arun, UPS Dehradun is not a government school. It's owned it's owned by Global University Systems, which also owns Pearl Academy. It owns UPS. It owns a lot of schools abroad as well. Can you share this Excel sheet? So, Sucheta, there is no Excel sheet. This is the presentation deck which we've shared, and all the information is there. Rekha Philip, will DQ Lab send us notifications when each design school opens up its admission process? Yes. The ones that we consider good, we will share. The other ones we will skip. All right. Will private college exams be tougher than UC NID? Is it mandatory to attend both for private college admission? So, Tina Joseph, you're asking a good question. The answer is no. Uh, when it comes to the design entrance exams, the NIDs and the IITs are the toughest and the most comprehensive. The most surprises happen there. All right. So that's where it gets challenging to. So that becomes so when we prepare you for those exams, those are the most complicated exams that you can answer. By default, all the other exams are covered, right? They have some combination of or the other, and that's why we're saying at least try 5 different design school admissions applications, or answer 5 design school exams before the NID one, because you'll cover majority of the things and you'll be less surprised in an NID and IIT. Also, when you look at that, most students who try for these schools, they don't go for coaching, right? They just go without coaching. And so they tend to find those exams harder, the private exam schools, design school exams harder. But for students of DQ labs, since they're preparing for NIDs and IITs anyway, they tend to find the exams much easier and they're able to crack a lot of them, they crack those exams much more easily. Is it mandatory to apply for private design schools? Right. BITS is a new program. Given the reputation of BITS and based on your experience, what would your expectation from? Rekha, good question. In my opinion, BITS is new. I don't think they will be excused of any of those uncertainties I spoke about when it comes to uh, the the new schools, right? Like any new school, they're operating from a temporary campus right now, and they're moving to the permanent campus shortly. There could be delays that you can expect. All of that is the usual thing. But overall, if you ask me, I think Nandita Abraham, who's heading BITS, I think she's the absolute right person for the job. I think she's got a fantastic reputation. I think she's got a fantastic network, both in India and outside. I think she has a great vision, and I think she's the perfect person to lead the school. I don't see anything wrong in joining BITS. Vinod Goinkar is asking, when are the exams likely to be for private schools? So, Vinod, the exams generally applications will start from, the middle of September, beginning of October. That's when the applications will start. You can expect exams to happen November, December. Some of them would clash. You'll find a clash for the exams, and that's going to be a challenge. Your next question is also good. Do private schools normally refund the amount paid in case one gets admission to government schools? No. Some of them may make exceptions. Most of them will not. All right. Some of them will refund majority of the fees. Some of them will hold back a significant amount. Right. And that's the reason why I said if you are paying the fees, pay the fees only to one school. Don't pay to multiple schools. If you want options, maximum two, all right, don't go beyond that, because with every application, with every school seat you pay for, you will lose some money. Anything ranging from 5,000 to 40,000, 50,000, or even more, right? That's for one school. So it's challenging, right? And it's stressful for parents. So if you'll have you all seen has everyone seen the links in the description of this email, if you'll of the session, webinar session? Can you type in yes or no if you've seen it or not seen it? Because if you've not seen it, then I want you to refresh, click on the refresh button, and then you should see it. Okay. Neetu is asking, what are the private institutes that conduct the exam before the NID and UCID? We will know only as they come up with it. With this suggestions, we'll know. So we'll keep we'll keep you informed of the groups. Please join our WhatsApp groups. Please join our WhatsApp groups. It's very important that you join the WhatsApp group. All right. Because all the information will be posted there. If you're part of the regular academic groups, you're not going to get the information because this information is not posted on the academic group. If you are asking about academic questions on these groups, you're not going to get your answers because we want the groups to be specific for each purpose. All right. So, Hritika, I request you to click on the refresh button and you should be able to see the links in the description of this webinar. Right. And with this, we are coming to the end of this discussion. I would like to take the last couple of questions if you have any. or the last couple of suggestions. And before that, I hope you've enjoyed the session. Please give me a thumbs up, give me a like button, hit the like button. Um, if you enjoyed the session and if you found it useful to you. Yeah. So Joanna Sankey is saying, I've started studying for NID and UC 2025. What are the chances I get into a government college? So Joanna, I'll give you the numbers. All right. If you are trying without any coaching, all right, without any coaching, the chances are about 3%. All right. But with DQ Labs coaching, our students approximately anywhere between 15% to 25% of our students get in each year. All right. So that is so 1.5% for those who fall under your chances are about 1.5% if you come under the general quota. If you have a reservation quota, it's about 3%. All right. That's for all India. But if you our students, that goes up 10x, right? So 15 to 25% of our students generally get through every year. All right. And that's a huge number, right? So by virtue of taking our classes, you have a much higher chance of getting through. Which is why we are also conducting this session, because if you don't get through, don't be disheartened. It's not the fact that um, you know that there's more than sufficient seats, right? There are limited seats, and that's the reason why it's rather tough to get through. But the point of the session is that there are other private schools also that have very good quality of education in India, right? And they're really aspiring to get like if I look at UID, they have associations with 35, 40 foreign universities, right? They have their academics is structured and aligned and accepted by 40 international schools, right? That is the beauty of these programs, right? So Indian schools are setting up global benchmarks. They are reaching there. So even if you don't get through to the government schools, and private schools um, is your only option, don't worry about it. Take it from there and work up. It should be good. Those who get through, let your objective be very clear that you want the government schools. No doubt about it. Let that be your objective. Um, and hope this has been useful to you, Joanna. All right. Um, thank you, Ritika. Thank you, Rekha. Um, Nitu is asking, what are the estimated fee structures at IITs and NIDs? It's about 3.5 lakhs tuition fee, and then your hostel fee on top of that. Ritika, thank you. Thank you, Joanna. All right. Kiara saying, does any college have a defense quota for children of armed forces? Yes, certain schools have that. You need to look at the admission processes. Um, you need to have a look at the admission process. You'll get this information. Vinod saying, is there a comparative available with respect to placements? No, it's actually very sketchy, the placements. See, what the schools show you is, so number one, schools show you, the schools who talk about placements would be the multidisciplinary schools and the global leader schools, right? So those would talk about it. The second thing is they'll show you placements, a whole lot of logos that have happened over the years, right? And really, it's very difficult to assess what has happened this year, what are the placements. So even if they tell you that these are the placements for this year, a lot of people don't believe that, right? And it really hits a stalemate. So don't worry about the placements really. Like I mentioned, work to the placements by yourself. Focus on getting your own placements for yourself. If the college happens to provide an opportunity, that's great. But for all other practical purposes, just do what you have to do. Thank you, Sunil. Thank you, Tina. All right. I think it's 6 o'clock. We've reached the end of the session. So thank you all for participating actively and being very engaged and asking good questions. I was really happy to do the session for you, and looking forward to interacting with you more. See you on the 1st of September. And for the NRI students, we'll see you on the 23rd of August at TQ Labs Indira Nagar for the session with LaSalle. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you.